Hola and welcome to my online dating smarts for beginners, how to spot a fraud video. I've been divorced for almost 8 years now, and I'm a single mom with a busy career in higher education. Because I'm busy and I don't go out much, I've done most of my dating via online dating apps, and I've learned a thing or two along the way. I want to begin by saying here that I am a heterosexual cisgender woman, so my advice will come from that perspective and therefore mostly apply to others of the same sexual orientation and gender identity. During the time that I've spent dating, I've realized that there are some scary men out there who are deliberately misrepresenting themselves. And I want to be clear here, I'm not male bashing. I know that men encounter scary women out there as well. But again, because this is a YouTube channel for women and I've already explained my perspective, I'm going to be talking mostly about men. In this short video, I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to spot online dating frauds a mile away. So make sure you watch until the end, okay? Rosas. I'm Mari Rosas and this is my YouTube channel Chica Power, where you learn how to fall in love with yourself first. Before we dive in, I want to give one general tip for beginners to online dating that might help cut down on the amount of frauds you encounter online. Whatever you do, chicas, do not indicate on your profile that you are new to online dating. Doing this only alerts the scammers that you aren't savvy and or maybe a bit naive and are therefore a prime target. Okay, chicas, let's get down to business. I decided to break this video down into the types of frauds that I or my friends have encountered out there. I'm going to start with the most despicable group in my opinion. Married men masquerading as divorced or separated men. How do married men get away with putting profiles up there and not getting caught, you might ask? There are lots of ways. On Plenty of Fish, for example, you can keep your profile hidden and only the people that you decide to reach out to are able to see it. And that's perfect for someone who doesn't want to be discovered by people that they know. Yes, they have their actual photos and in many cases their real names on their profiles, just not their actual marital status. How do you spot these jerks? Well, for starters, they usually tell you right up front that they are separated but still living with their soon-to-be ex-spouse, so that you never expect to be able to go to their place. In my opinion, that's all you need to hear. I personally make it a point not to get involved with men who are separated. They are still technically married, and if there's still a chance of reconciliation, particularly if there's children involved, far be it from me to get in the way of that. Even if they are definitely getting divorced, many separated men are just looking to kind of sow their wild oats at that point. So I'm not going to waste my time with them. I mean, unless you're just looking to sow your wild oats as well. But a man who's separated and still living with his spouse, that's a situation to stay away from with a 10-foot pole, chicas. Other red flags are patterns where guys only text you and call you during the day and you don't hear from them much in the evening or on the weekends. And maybe if you do hear from them, it's a text, not a phone call. Most men who are actually available cannot wait to meet you in person when there's a connection. So another telltale sign is a guy that talks to you and texts you daily, but isn't asking to see you or makes a lot of excuses as to why they're not available. Number 2 is men who lie drastically about their age. And I say drastically here because in my experience, it's very, very common for men to lie about their age by 2 to 3 years on dating sites. These guys usually fess up to the age discrepancy right up front. But I'm telling you, if I had $5 for every time a guy has told me that they inadvertently put in the wrong year on their dating profile, now the app won't let them change it. That latter part is actually true. Most apps won't let you adjust your birth date after you initially set up your profile. But what's interesting here, of all the times that I got that line, the man had entered a year that made him younger and not older. I'm gonna leave that one alone now. I proved my point. Then there's a separate category of really bold men out there who make themselves 10 or more years younger on their profiles. You can tell just by looking at their pictures. I mean, they just look a lot older, and some of them will put old pictures of themselves, and you can tell because the photos are fuzzy, they're sporting clothes that were in 10 years ago, or if there's a mirror selfie, which is really popular with men, you might be able to tell by the model of the phone. Regardless of the photos, you'll be able to tell when you meet them in person. I don't know who these guys think that they're trying to fool, or if they just really believe that they look 10 years younger than what they really are. One of the reasons why I always recommend having a phone call or a video chat with someone before you meet them in person. If you see that a guy is a lot older looking than his photos when you meet him, I would nip that one right in the bud. Ladies, the issue here is not that he's older. I myself don't mind dating older men. The issue is that he's a big liar. If he's lying to you about his age that drastically and trying to keep it under wraps, what else is he gonna lie to you about down the line? Drop him like a hot wrinkled potato. He's not the one for you, Chica. Number 3 is the international con artist. I had to laugh when I was scripting this video because I conjured up images of that 1980s Steve Martin, Michael Caine movie, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. Very funny. Well, these international con men actually exist. Google it if you don't believe me. The first tip off is that their profile pictures are usually of extremely good looking men. Think male model. They usually have a public Instagram account linked to their profile, or they give you the link to their IG account and it has some more photos of them and posts so that they seem legit. They usually say that they're from a foreign country, like Germany, Sweden, Belgium, for example, a country where the native language is one that most American women are not likely to speak. They do this to account for the fact that their English is not going to be perfect, but their English is usually more than a bit off, in my opinion. And when you're engaged in a texting or messaging conversation with them, there's usually a delay, like a slight delay, because they're usually kind of running through the conversation on something like Google Translate. Suspect this kind of thing, an easy way to find out is to do a reverse image Google search on one or a few of their pictures. You might find several other profiles and or Instagram accounts with those photos but with different names. And the most sure way of telling is after a few weeks of texting and not meeting, he'll give you a tall tale and ask you for some money. Never made it that far myself because I've become an expert at smelling something fishy pretty early on, but I've had friends who've been asked for money and of course they were smart enough to not give him any and block his butt. Number 4 is the creepy stalker / possessive type. Best way to identify these early on is that they're often super over the top with how much they like you almost immediately. They start making plans about your future together before you've even met them in person. I tend to feel smothered rather easily, so I'm usually taking quite a few steps back, if not running the other way by now. But if you're trying to bow out nicely and he's giving you a hard time, run as fast as you can, chicas. The way he's acting and he hasn't even met you yet, imagine how he's going to treat you and how controlling he's going to be if you do actually date him. Number 5 is the more traditional catfisher, just somebody who is puts out a fake profile for whatever reason, and not necessarily to get money from you, but just to kind of talk to you, and maybe at some point, once you have been strung along long enough, maybe they will reveal their identity to you in the hopes that you have invested so much in this relationship that you have with the person that you won't mind that they are completely different. They look completely different than their picture. I have never actually encountered one of these because I tend to meet people fairly soon after I've messaged with them and or had a phone call and video chatted. But be leery of profiles that have only 1 or 2 photographs and of people who don't want to video chat with you or meet. Those are huge red flags. My final piece of general advice is, if something feels off, it probably is. Go with your gut feeling. Well, that's it for today, chicas poderosas. As you know, my mommy was a huge fan of refranes. A refrán is a wise Latina saying or adage. And I'm gonna repeat one that I used in my previous video about dating because I just really believe that it's really important here. And that wise saying is, mejor sola que mal acompañada, which means it's better to be alone than in bad company. So I've said this before, I love myself. I love spending time with myself and my teenage daughter that I live with as well. But you shouldn't be dating to fill a void. You should already be self-fulfilled. I believe that self-love comes first and then everything else follows. If you don't feel that way, I do recommend that you watch my videos on self-love. There's a reason why Whitney Houston told us that loving ourselves is the greatest love of all, chicas. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And please, por favor, give me your feedback and your questions in the comments down below. I read and respond to them all. Besos y abrazos a todas. Hugs and kisses to all. Mwah.